So we have Douglas Murray here on the ground with rockets flying overhead, and he's doing a report for Piers Morgan, who is a pathetic character during this watch.
What concerns me about what Israel is doing is not their efforts to get rid of Hamas, but because of the particular nature of Hamas embedding themselves amongst civilian populations with the massive amounts of civilian casualties that will inevitably come, and that figure will grow and grow and grow. Are we not, as Barack Obama warned, are we not creating here just an opportunity for far greater radicalization of all those young Palestinians who watched their loved ones get killed?
That's like saying during World War II, hey guys, you know, we can't start killing all these Nazis because it'll just create new Nazis. Totally ridiculous.
Why would we imagine that at the end of all this, they're going to want to do anything other than to become a new version of Hamas?
Because that's how they're being taught every day in school and by their parents and elders. They're being taught that they have to kill every Jew inside Palestine. That's what they're being taught. That's how we know.
In wanting to exact revenge for what happened to their families.
Well, two things. One is, if you just follow the logic of what Barack Obama said, then you just shouldn't do anything.
Right.
If you're Israel, you should be attacked and just sit back and say, great, we'll wait for the next one.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
But the second and more important thing is, your question supposes that there is a sort of peaceful Palestinian population in the Gaza who would love a two-state solution.
They've been offered two-state solution after 1948, after 1967, and about 4 or 5 more times after that. They've turned it down every time, including the time when Muskrat Face was offered 98% of everything he asked for. He got up and walked away. So they don't want a two-state solution.
And then a few bad apples in Hamas. I think that's not true. Why is it that when one of the victims of the music festival, a poor young German Jewish girl, who it seems was raped and then brutally murdered and taken into the Gaza naked. Why was it that you can find, and anyone can find this online, a crowd of ordinary Gazans? It wasn't Hamas, it wasn't a Hamas rally.
Palestinians.
Ordinary Gazans spitting on her body, hitting her body, mutilating her body further as it went down the street.
Because they all support the same ideology.
Does that strike you, Piers, as a placid population of peacenik types who are just desperately waiting for a two-state solution to be put back on the table for the millionth time in the last 70-something years? It doesn't seem like that to me.
No, but there are over 2 million people in Gaza. And
this is the old, well, you can't blame everybody. Well, in this situation, pretty much you can, because I think it was 2021 when they did the last survey, and it was like 78% of the people who live in Gaza still vigorously support Hamas.
There weren't 2 million people in that video clip. There were a few hundred. So I don't like to make...
Yeah, well, a few hundred at random. A few hundred at random. And did you see anyone in it saying, hey, guys, stop. We're not meant to mutilate the bodies of girls or rape them in public? No, I didn't see that.
But
it's disgusting. And these people all champion that.
But then what you're really articulating, correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't what you're articulating really an endorsement of collective punishment, where you assume they're all guilty?
No.
And if they don't stand up to him...
He's not saying to kill everyone over there. He's not even hinting at that. But Piers Morgan is an ass, and he's trying to control the interview, and he can't, because Douglas Murray is just light years ahead of him.
They're also guilty. And that's where people have a problem, I think, with the moral line here, which is if you hold all the Gazans equally responsible, then is that not collective punishment, which is illegal?
Well, first of all, there is some responsibility for the peoples in the Gaza. If you elect Hamas,
they elected them,
and they kill Fatah, and then they remain in power for all of the years afterwards, I'm afraid that there is some responsibility of the people in that situation. You know, when the Germans had Adolf Hitler come to power and voted for him, we in Britain took the view that the German people were responsible in some way. So I'm not for collective punishment per se, but nor am I for this idea that there is something unique going on in the Israeli-Gaza conflict.
Now watch how Piers tries to interrupt with a unique situation that's ridiculous.
That we in Britain couldn't understand.
Actually, there is one unique thing.
In our own history, there is very similar things.
But there is one unique thing, which is that the population of Gaza is pretty unique in that nearly half of the population are children. That is a unique situation.
Listen
No,
to
I'll
this.
tell you what's unique about the population of Gaza. It's the only population in the world where people routinely claim Israelis are committing genocide, but which has a population boom.
Think about that. Every time Rashida Tlaib says that Israel is committing genocide on the Palestinian people inside Gaza, then it's a really shitty genocide. You think about it, because it's not working, because their population just keeps going up, even though year after year they say there's a genocide going on. And they don't have any video footage or any paperwork, nothing, right? So when they say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, that is a call for genocide to kill every living Israeli Jew in Palestine.
All of the time. I mean, that strikes me as being quite an interesting thing about the Gaza. But as for the moral criticality, I want to make a very, very important point, if I can say so, on this, which is, people quite often abuse history and they say things all the time. I mean, about the only thing anyone from history knows is about the Nazis. Here's something I can tell you with absolute certainty, Piers, having not just seen some of the results of what Hamas did on the ground here in Israel a few weeks ago, but having watched the videos of the unedited footage, which I was one of the journalists was sadly allowed to see the other day. I can tell you one thing: the comparison between Hamas and the Nazis is insufficient.
Yeah.
And sorry, there's an incoming.
Get safe.
Got rockets coming out. Gaza's looking for Douglas Murray.
So, okay. Anyhow, we're okay.
I love this guy. He just has rockets coming. He's like, anyhow, and he just moves on.
Okay.
Let's just yeah. It's fine. Sorry, it was a rocket coming. Looked like it was just going to land on us here.
Which way was that rocket coming from?
Okay.
Was it coming from Gaza or from Israel?
Yes, it seemed to be coming from Gaza. So yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It's been happening all day. Let me just finish this point, if I may.
Before we go on, Douglas, Atman, how does that make you? How does that
make you feel? Can you believe this?
What just happened?
What do you think?
I mean, it's I'm a little used to it. I was in Ukraine last year and was in Kherson and Odessa and Mykolaiv, and when the Russians were shelling it, so I'm a little used to it.
So he's used to it because he's actually in the field, and Piers is not, because he sits his fat ass in a studio chair instead and trying to make moral judgment on a guy like Douglas Murray.
But just if I can just finish this point, there's a lot of banging going on, but anyway, we'll keep going.
Keep
if you need to stop, Douglas, we understand.
No, don't worry. If we need to stop, I'll run to the shelter, I assure you. The thing that struck me, Piers, about seeing the 7th of October footage was that even the Nazis were actually ashamed of what they did. SS battalions who spent their days shooting Jews in the back of the head and pushing them into trenches had to get very, very drunk in the evening to
because they knew they were acting like animals.
They had done.
They couldn't handle
Nazi
it psychologically.
High Command famously had to sort of
get
around the problem of soldier morale, because the soldiers knew this wasn't exactly what their lives were meant to look like either. I tell you one very big difference. If you look at the footage, the raw footage, and I really hope people don't on a wider scale have to view what I viewed the other day, if they see it, they will see something that is at least as barbaric as what the Nazis did. But here's the difference. They did it with glee. They were deeply proud.
They were happy.
You see people trying to, taking the head off a young Israeli man with a shovel, and then calling their parents back in Gaza and telling them, Father, I've killed 10 Jews with my own hands. Get mother on the phone. I want to tell her how great a job her son has done.
I mean, think about that, guys. Over here, you call your parents, go, Dad, I got the job. I actually got the job. Put Mom on the phone. I can't wait to tell her. These assholes can't wait to tell their parents and brag about how many Jews they killed. That's a hell of a difference.
I come back to this thing. I'm not exaggerating this. It's very, very interesting, and people need to realize you had this situation with the Nazis, where they also were a genocidal anti-Semitic organization, but they tried to cover their crimes up. Hamas are actually proud of them, and they've said they will do them until the whole world is clear of Jews.
Yeah.
So I suggest we take that seriously, and I think that Israel is taking it seriously. I hope they continue to take it seriously, but I think the world should take it seriously, and that includes Britain. And when I hear British journalists, British commentators, and British politicians lecturing the Israelis on what they should do, I think, I'm sorry, this shows a failing in our country. It shows that we in Britain cannot enforce our laws. We don't even enforce our borders in Britain. It's us that is the weak link in the international security chain on this, not Israel.
All right, guys, that was pretty good. That was a great back and forth. And Douglas Murray, again, did not disappoint. I have never liked Piers Morgan, and I never understood the attraction that many conservatives have to him. He's a complete and total anti-gun nut. He doesn't understand how in America we revere our Second Amendment. He thinks that having the right to own a gun leads to gun crimes, but he calls himself a conservative. I mean, over there, they don't have guns, but they have knives and they have baseball bats, and I wonder how he feels about that. So Murray pointed out that there is video footage that only so many journalists were given permission to see, and that it is horrific. So what the AP, Reuters, and CNN photojournalists published was apparently nothing compared to what Hamas actually did. I wonder if his explanations of what he saw of the videos he witnessed of Hamas and their butchery changed Piers Morgan's mind on going soft with appeasements to people who elected and still support a terrorist organization. All right, so if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and share our videos with like-minded friends who want to stay informed with what's really going on. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.